I have so many impressions swirling around, and I could probably talk for 2 hours. So I'm going to see if I can get some of this stuff out and not talk for 2 hours. Hour and a half? Maybe a half an hour. I don't know. I had an interesting experience this morning, so maybe I'll start with that. I woke up pretty kind of early, had to pee, so I went to the bathroom and I was pretty sleepy and I didn't have my glasses on and I can't really see hardly anything without them on. But I still kind of like don't turn a light on to go to the bathroom, even though it was dark out. I just won't do that. I've been doing it a little bit with this little tiny nightlight that Pranavati got me, a reading lamp. But there's some pride, and I can I can feel my way to the bathroom and get there. I don't need a light, you know. That's pretty extreme. But that's really not the story. But I was, blurry-eyed and in the dark, and I go into the bathroom and I see this moth. We have moths in our pantry and we've got to deal with it. So don't think badly of me, but they're there. And so there's a moth that has reached its way back to our bathroom, and I just like was looking at this moth and I thought, why am I not that moth? How is it that I'm not that moth? And it struck me kind of deep, because I wasn't really awake and I didn't have a chance to put the armor all the way on. And so I felt this feeling of like, I felt touched by this sensation, this feeling, this understanding that I'm not a moth, that I was born a human being. And and that just got me thinking about the day before I had spent with my friends and with Justin in the living room, and just feeling like, why is it that I'm getting to have this experience in life that I have? I was born a human being, which amongst the possibilities of what you could be born as or what you could be part of, I mean, think of all the atoms of the universe, the I don't know, people know a lot about this stuff and we're just like really small. And there's all these different analogies of how to explain that, which I'm not going to be able to do. But of all the creations, of all the trees, of all the ants, insects, tiny little things, and when you just see a section of it that there's probably thousands, maybe millions. So the chances of being born as a human being are we can't fathom it, And so then there's that I was born a human being. I was born into the United States. Whatever your political views are, there is some level of fortune in being born in the United States. I was born white. I was born Californian West Coast. Nice small town, not overcrowded. There was nature. I had a, two-parent home my entire life. They loved me. They didn't abuse me, beyond what you're going to do as an unconscious human being. And so all of that, just to like grok that, to feel that possibility, and then to have the next gift of wanting to know where I came from, wanting to know that question, who am I? Thinking about that, wondering about that, craving that, as fleeting and inconsistent as it is, that call was there for me, is there for me, that fortune to feel that possibility of a human being. And, to think about like the possibilities of a human being go really, they're really far apart. There's all the way down to what we can do with war and fighting and pettiness and money and sex and childbirth and relationships and all that stuff. Beautiful, not so beautiful, but a certain level of life that many mammals and many animals experience. not to diminish some of the amazing beauty and lessons of that, but that's one possibility of life. And then all the way up to feeling our reconnection to divinity, feeling our reconnection to what's natural within us and that unique naturalness within us. Like that's a huge, what would you call that? Like a huge spectrum, of experience that human beings can experience. And that's just a trip to me. Uh, and I guess feeling the amazing fortune, it doesn't end, you know. So yeah, then I have that feeling of where did we come from? Nobody would be here in this room without having that feeling of what else is there, you know. Nobody would be here. What a rare circumstance to be sitting here in this way. And then to actually discover a human being who knows the way, who knows the answer to um, the human potential that we could experience, that longing of what else is there, that there is an answer to that there is a way to that. And of course, there's always been a way to that from the beginning of humanity, but that we would have found ourselves, that I would have found myself in the presence of a person in this time and in this place who has gone through the process himself enough and remembered it to be able to tell me exactly what I need to know to travel that path back towards myself. Not to travel the path that he traveled, but to take the principles of that, the understandings of that, to give it to me, to fashion all the things that I and we need to do that, to study ourselves, to see what's in the way, to uncover that human possibility that is in each and every one of us as humans, just, implanted in us through our birth. Uh, a way back to that, our own unique way back to that. We are gathered together as a support system for that, but we each have to travel back beneath the unique and not so unique coverings and obstacles and all the shit that was laid on us, not maliciously, but just as life happens, laid on us that we have to see and uncover. I'm thinking of yesterday, one of the things that struck me, I can't really tell you the whole entire uh, impression that I was a part of, but just this one little tiny moment where Justin talked about the song, that song about Go Ask Alice, who is that? That's Jefferson Airplane, and it's, like one pill makes you larger, one makes you small, and the one that mother gave you didn't do anything at all, doesn't do anything at all. And Justin just referenced that line in a moment and said, in relation to what I understood was in relation to the pill that mother gives you is the pill that we've all been given throughout our life in all kinds of ways. Let's not blame only the mothers, but yeah, mother was very instrumental in our life. She was there, but so was TV and advertising and, everything at school and all the stuff that we did and all those pills we took in. And those are some of the things that we have to go back and study and see what's mine, what's not mine. This was what was laid on me and examine that and explore that's a piece of the way back home. And that's going to be unique for each of us. And we also share a lot of those things in common, so we can help each other do that. And so just feeling that, that we, the fortune of how much we have been given, that it's like a complete kit for consciousness, a complete kit for traveling all the way back. recently I bought a what is it? Like a shelving unit at Walmart. And it's like a complete kit. It has everything in it. It has the nuts and the bolts and the little Allen wrenches, the instruction manual, a website to the video that tells you that you can watch how to put it together. It has everything. It's a complete kit. You could just open the box. Maybe you need to get some scissors. I don't know. Probably not. They probably have perforated things where you can just pull it open. I haven't opened it yet because I'm procrastinating that. But once I do open that kit, once I do open that gift of a box that has everything I need included in it, then it's all there, you know, because there's a lot of things that we need to do, like to be able to study ourselves, to see ourselves as we are, to jump over our own knees, you know. We need some tools. We need some support. We need some other eyes and experiences and perspectives. We need books from the past. We need movies. We need everything humanity has ever given that is leading in that direction that we can get our hands on. And we need someone who has done it. Who gets that in the world? Not very many people. Not in this time, in this place. Can you go back to the past? Yes. And what does that mean about me? What does that mean about us? It means we're fucking lucky. It means we're just so fortunate, and that we were born in a place where you could walk into Walmart and buy a box that has everything in it. And so maybe that same intelligence, maybe that same culture that we were inculcated in, that we have been just stewing in, has to be met with that amount of completion. Because I can't figure out how it is that we could have everything in the kit complete like that and be amongst a living master, be amongst sincere people who are willing to stick out this system of failure for decades. you know to go from young to old ish. Engaged in that endeavor, and be mediocre at that and still hang in there. I fucking respect that. That's I respect myself. I respect anybody I see here that I see so often. Anybody that's hungry, like anybody who feels that call, however inconsistent it is, that call, that highest possibility of our humanity. We're not special because we feel it. We're lucky, but it is within every human being. I know I'm kind of all over the place because it's so big, it's so big. And I think I have to kind of give a couple examples of some things, because we talked yesterday about being real, this idea of being real. And, we have a lot of opportunity with each other to be that. And we have opportunity in all kinds of ways as a human being to be real. But there's things in the way. There's some stuff in the way of that. And one of the things is just like being able to get into it with each other. And it could go from just saying, what do you mean by that? Can you say more? I'm not sure what you mean. I think I know what you mean, and I could fill in the blanks, but could you say a few more words about that? And then the person does, and you can't, like it happened to me this morning. I don't know what the example was. I think Johor said something, and I was sure I knew what he meant, and that of course he was wrong and I was right. That he was missing a piece. He said something about real life, what he meant by real life. And I said, well, that was real life. It happened in the moment. It was real life. but he was taught, he meant something else. And for some miracle, I said, what do you mean by real life? And he said an example of what he meant by real life. Like, well, if you're going to the store and you're going grocery shopping and somebody doesn't get, somebody goes grocery shopping, they don't get what you put on a list. That's real life. And I was like, oh, okay, well then that was a really good point. And you don't really need to know the whole story, but it if I would have not asked that, I would have just stayed in my own little world, thought that I was right, and I would have missed out on some piece of wisdom, some understanding, some clear thing that was helpful to me in that moment. And that's a certain way of getting into it with each other. And then there's like, hey, how come you didn't call me? And then there's, hey, what are you doing? I thought you were involved in this project. Why aren't you doing it? I'm surprised you're not here. What's happening with you? You know, there's all kinds of those levels. There's writing an email that feels vulnerable to write, of being able to get closer to each other, to be able to be in it with each other. And so much of what gets in the way, I'm discovering with that, is blame, blaming and having and keeping that blame because it's comfortable, it's familiar. I have some example of that I'm having a hard time getting to. So I might have to come back to that. Well, I think I may have kind of said what I want to say. I feel like the importance of remembering our fortunateness and reminding each other of that, and knowing that we have to do that, like a bedtime story. It needs to be told over and over, and um that's the benefit of being here together. And so I think when I forget that, I'm hoping to be reminded, because that spectrum is very wide, and it takes a lot to remember. Okay. Johanna, want to talk? Mike. Thank you.
Hi, friendly people. I think, Jenna, let's see. Thank you for the reminder and the inspiration. And like, I really feel it. I really can feel it. And, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But our good fortune is just beyond, 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 beyond. And I'm so happy I'm from California. I'm really happy to be, I have everything going for me, to get where I want to get. And the times that I remember that's, oh, the consciousness mountain, I have everything that I need to climb that consciousness mountain. Sometimes it's real to me and sometimes it's less. But anyway, I have some success story and I have some failure story. And of course, you win, you lose, you learn. So it's all good stuff. I sang at my first open mic a couple of nights ago. So that was just really awesome for me on my own to decide to do that with no prompting. I almost didn't even tell people I was going to do it. I was like, oh, I guess I should tell people I'm going out tonight. But I kind of just wanted to slip out sneak out and fucking do this thing that I sort of live in dread of somebody maybe suggesting I do, or cornering me into, or tricking me into, or I was like, I live with this fear with a small f. And it's like it's time to move beyond that. So Matthew and I have been singing a song together, and it's a fucking great fun song, and like I should be able to do this. Uh, this is a pretty straightforward thing that a human who loves to sing and can sing, well enough, should be able to do this thing, sing in public. So that was really great, super for me. And then talking about it later afterwards, telling my triumphant success story. Realized at some point through some, various constructive criticisms of various pieces, but did I say anything? No, I didn't even introduce the song. It was just, it was just like, okay, here we are and we're playing, let's go. 1, 2, 3, go. And thank you very much. Okay, thank you, everybody. Good night. But I pretty much, no, entirely forgot everything that I'm a part of, other than just coping, like I'm gonna fucking do this thing, I'm gonna sing this song in front of these people. And here we just spent months out on the street, with the wheel of wisdom, flagging people down, and on the cruise ship with 17 people wearing our shirts and corralling people on the cruise ship to hear about us and listen to our stories. And, do you want a book recommendation? Do you want a movie recommendation? Oh my God, my good fortune. And oh my God, my teacher. And oh my God, my community. And this brilliant possibility that every human has. And don't you want to hear about it? Don't you want a piece of it? Do you want to listen for a minute to the extraordinary life that I have and consider that you might be able to have a piece of that for yourself? You sorry slob who lives in pain. Like, people are in pain. People are suffering, people are just it's rough out there. And like, so I did this thing, I'm going to sing my song. And I didn't give anything of who I am, other than I can sing a little bit, but everything I have, all my good fortune, everything that I am a link to, there could have been one person out there who heard something I said. It's like, what did you say you were a part of? Or how, you told this story, you didn't used to be able to do this. Is your first time, you say you kind of got over a hurdle to be able to do this, or you say you're involved in something interesting, like whatever little peep I could have made of who I am, beyond my singing voice, and what I'm a part of, that I'm going to say compartmentalization, that, I went there in this compartment to do this thing, and just all of it was gone. I mean, that really gets me in the gut of, sad, but sad but true, sad, but it's, like I said, you lose, you learn. It's a good lesson. And I think it's always good to see, to get pushed, whatever the circumstances are, to get pushed so that your, whatever your worst, and I don't mean bad, gross bad, whatever your lowest manifestation is, that it gets revealed. So whether it's a spat with somebody, whether it's some flare of jealousy, whether it's some nastiness, whether it's some pettiness in a moment, I kind of want to sweep it under the rug and just hide it. But like, that's really that's a gem that leads to the self-discovery. You want to find what's left unpurified. What is it? And if you go around smiling and keeping things nice and being friendly all the time and avoiding conflict, then you can really think you're pretty mellow. I mean, that's, as I see this, say, this is sort of the cliche, but Ananda over there, everybody you pass on the road, you smile and wave. I can't speak to their personal lives and all that, but like that, that image of let's keep everything sweet, let's keep everything on the surface, and let's not uncover the grit. God forbid I get angry. God forbid I snap at you. God forbid I say something real, like, God, shut the fuck up once in a while, whatever, that I would say to somebody spontaneously. Like, I want to know if that's still in me. If I'm going to get free, I got to know with beyond a shadow of a doubt what's still at the bottom. What do I still have that's down here? It's so important. And yet I think we want to hide from it. We want to not admit to anybody else, certainly, that it's there. I don't even want to know it for myself that it's there. So this is kind of an innocuous story of a miss, but it's important for me. It's a great lesson to see, when I was a little nervous. It was a new compartment. It was unfamiliar. I was, shaking. I was nervous. It was a jump for me to go do this thing. And in that, so when I got pushed a little bit, I lost, you know, all of this. Like, oh my gosh, that's an eye opener, and kind of sad to see, but good. Like, okay, so here's an obstacle. There's something in the way of. Um, there's still some darkness where the light of all of this still does not shine. It's a good lesson. Um, I'm going to bring you along a little bit on why this was um, a success story for me. I was remembering uh, even speaking here is part of that. It's like I said, oh, friendly faces. It's for anybody who gets in this chair, your heart beats a little faster for a minute. And for the people, I mean, many of the people here I live with or I have lived with, and it's like you're all benign, you're kind creatures. And I almost sitting there thinking, could I go up there and just, if I just got off the chair and sat on the floor, it would feel. So it's just a concept. It's just a concept that we're not in my living room, and that you didn't ask me a question and say, hey, how'd your open mic thing go? And I would be off to the races jabbering, telling you about it, But so it's really just it's a paper tiger of now I'm the speaker. And I really want to be done with that. I remember I learned this, and some people have heard this, but it's a good story for me. Years ago, Dave was a DJ on KVMR at the 3:30 in the morning slot or something like that. And Justin knew I had sent, there were a couple of songs that I sang, and uh, you know, Justin looking to, mix things up for anybody who, he said, why don't you go on Dave's show? And Dave said, well, you could give me a recording or something like that. And Annette helped me record a song. So this is years ago. Anyway, but he said, well, you should probably audition for Dave and see if he thinks you'd be good for your show, good for his show. And I was singing in the living room all the time, happily singing in my bedroom, singing in front of my housemates. And so Dave was there at the 100 dining room, and Justin said, so why don't you sing a song for him? And I remember just like heart pounding, and I was just shaking. And it wasn't an audition. It was just fucking Dave in my dining room, And I was so disappointed at like my lack of control of my physical manifestation, of my emotional, manifestations. Like, this is absurd. This is patently absurd that I can't relax. I can't, if I go in the other room right there, like my heart rate will go down. If I just take 4 steps away, everything will be fine. And then and now we're calling it something, and I'm doing it in front of a different person. And I remember being just really interested and frustrated, and it felt unacceptable that I could be that out of that lacking in, calm, or whatever you want to call it, self-control. And I don't mean in a control way. I mean in a relaxed way, that I couldn't, So that's one. But this started long ago. I was thinking, this is just calling attention to myself. And like I said, if we're in my living room, I like to tell stories. I like to entertain people. But I remember I don't know, preschool, I don't know how, if you're 5, 6 or something, somewhere we have a class, and I was supposed to be part of a caterpillar. I'm picturing those Chinese dragons where everybody's, and you're just one of 5 kids in the caterpillar. And I know I was supposed to be that. And I remember sitting on these bleachers, and it's the first lie ever told, and maybe the only lie I've ever told, the teacher came, and we were supposed to go down to the stage area, and I told her, I have a toothache. I can't go. I was just terrified. And I remember she said, like, sweetie, you sure you can't just go down there? And I was just like, I can't do it. And I think so what is that, 4 or 5 or 6? I don't know. And I just never, like, so that was the first thing. Okay, you want to come up on stage? No, I have a toothache. I'm not going down there. I can't. And even to speak up, this is another curious memory. Somehow my class went to we must have gotten permission. It was like a carnival place, but it was empty. It was like closed. Nobody was there. I don't know why we were there. There are no people around. But I remember going on a merry-go-round where you're on the horse, right? So I wasn't big enough to get on the horse or off the horse, whatever. So whatever age that would be. This is something to do with speaking up, but also self-pity. So these things are like tied for me, that I'm sure that the thing must have gone around, and I had a little ride, and then stopped, and then they took all the kids off, but they forgot me. And I remember it happening. I remember, like, the 2 teachers or whatever they were, like, one went to the kid on this direction, and one went to the kid on this direction, and figuring that the other one was going to get me, and they went around, they took all the kids off, and everybody left. And I remember vaguely, like, well, I don't know, maybe when the place opens again, somebody will find me, but like that I could say, ma'am, Miss Kaczynski, like, that I just sat there. It's like, well, Trigger, it's you and me, it's you and me forever, So really, like a kind of cripplingly shy, scared child. I mean, it's just a memory. I can't even almost believe it now, because it's so like, wow, were you that? It's when I can feel it sometimes. Say you're on an airplane, and the drink cart's coming by, you know, and you're like, they're going to forget me, you know, and she, and they got to turn up. I'm not. They'll probably forget me. No, I can handle it now on a plane, but anyway, the point of speaking up and yeah, okay, a little all over the place. So our good fortune. I said in one of my TikToks that because I heard it sometime studying Hinduism that the Hindu gods wait 1,000 years to take life in human form. You know, because even the gods, they just say, are a part of karma and rebirth. You know, that they transmigrate, that they occasionally are embodied and occasionally they're in the heavenly realms or whatever. But that every creature longs for a human life. So even the moth, you know, he's just like looking at you going, oh, someday, if I'm a good moth, you know, maybe I'll be reborn as a human. And that even the gods, who we think, well, the gods must have it made, they're just up there, but they don't get to play in the sandbox, you know, they don't get to touch and feel and love and climb in the way that we do. And I think it's an interesting piece of mythology, just the idea of it, that every creature longs for a human life and the possibilities that we have. And fucking we fritter it away day after day, year after year, really moment to moment. It's like that's, you know, human, it's the tragedy with a small t, the tragedy of moment to moment human existence, that we're not like on board for the climb, on board as a team, on board with being here now, and on board with our intentions. You know, recently I was feeling kind of like, what the fuck, you know, what am I doing? And Justin gave a little talk, just totally coincidentally, I think, and he said, you know, whatever's going on, it wasn't to me, he was just like, pick one thing, you know, just do one thing. And I just was so grateful, right? Okay, let me just hang my hope for now on one thing, you know, one diagram a day or one chapter a day, whatever it is, like, and then I can build from there. But at least, anyway, I was very grateful for that. And so for us, even like this moment, you know, I can feel I'm like, right now as I'm talking, my world is storytelling, and I'm like outward focused, you know, I'm outward focused. Okay, who's here? Who's listening? Are you there? Is everything going okay? And then even to for a moment to take a breath and be like, okay, oh my gosh, I have a body, like I have a human body. You know, I can feel buzzing in my fingers if I just feel it for a moment. I can feel my chest, can feel my throat. I've open senses. I can have open senses. And then slowly, can I do both at once? You know, can I move into a world where even though I'm engaged and I hope you're laughing and I'm telling stories and I want to keep your attention and I'm also thinking, what's my next story? Is this going okay? Could I also still feel the buzzing in my hands? Could I also still feel my chest and be aware of my breath. Like that's a long way off, but I know that it's possible, and it's really like just one one step at a time.